21st, 2022. Our first order of business, we've signed a waiver and notice. We have minutes from February 7th that were mailed to us. Is there any corrections or additions to those minutes? If not, can we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
It's moved. Is a second?
Second.
Okay. Moved and second. Any further discussion on the minutes? If not, all those in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The minutes stand approved as presented. The next order of business is approving an amendment on the ECG McCrory LP, which they're, I guess, asking for an additional $1,500,000. Is that right, or what?
They were here at the November meeting and requesting approval for an additional $4 million, and now they need to increase that by $800,000. So it's an $800,000 increase.
Okay.
And we have representatives here that'll be happy to.
Okay. You want to explain what the situation is?
Sure. I'm Grace Evans with Abatement Cap. We also have John Shepard with Elmington and Jennifer with Baker Donaldson, who's representing us as bond counsel. So I'm here to talk about the McCrory development for the third and hopefully final time. You'll probably remember this deal, but we were here in August of 2021, and we got approval for 50 million bonds. We ended up only issuing 43. We thought we could make that work with the deal, and we try and be resourceful with all of your resources here. End of last year, we realized that that wasn't going to be enough. We run into cost overruns. So we came back to the board in October and asked for $4 million. Since then, we've had issues with our 50% tests and just everything with this deal with COVID, supply chain issues, labor shortages, everything. So we just need that extra $800,000 to help satisfy our 50% test. We are already started construction this past summer, so we're underway, and we'll be ready to close the bonds, within 90 days of the issuance here. I think timing-wise, almost finished with site work, getting ready to go vertical. We're thinking to have it completely done by July of 2023. I can answer any other questions.
So we approved and issued $400 million.
43.
4.3.
Yeah, and I'll also add, you actually initially approved up to 50 million. We just only issued 43, so the ask right now for the 4.8 is still below that 50 million.
So, we did a previous approval of an increase, or?
Yes, they were here in November of last year for a $4 million increase. So they've issued, the original approval on a preliminary basis was up to 50. They came back and we actually issued 43 of the 50. Then they came back in November and asked for an increase of $4 million, which would take them to 47, still under the original 50. And now this is a request for an additional $800,000.
Okay. Well, the figure 4.8 on here, but I don't know what that.
Because that's what would be issued. We haven't actually issued
You
the 4
haven't
million
issued
yet.
the 4 million, so this would be one.
Yeah, it would be all together.
Correct.
Although we're authorizing another 800.
Correct.
What's been the biggest problem or cost increase?
Since we were here in October, the biggest has been just the rise in interest rates. They've gone up 6 times since we were here, and board consensus is they're going to go up again next month and throughout the rest of the year. So as our
Construction loans?
Yeah, the interest on our construction rate has gone through the roof.
What kind of interest rate is that now?
We are a 1-month LIBOR with plus 2.75 spread. So, as rates go up, it's going to just go up every month. And it's a 30 term with 2 6-month extensions. So
30 months?
For the construction period.
Okay. Any further questions?
Yeah, do you foresee yourself needing to do an additional increase in the future, if you had to guess?
I don't think so. We thought we were being conservative last time. I think this gets us very conservative. Just look at our 50% test to 54%, and our lenders and everyone seems very comfortable with that. I don't want to have to come back before the board again.
I'll write a check.
The way these interest rates are,
Yeah.
maybe back.
It's not great.
Okay, so we have a resolution before us that would approve the issuance of not to exceed 4.8 million is what the resolution says. Okay. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Moved. Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of the resolution indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Resolution is adopted.
Thank you.
And then we have another amendment approval for Forest Bend Townhomes modification and reissuance of a certain $6 million in notes.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Lowry. I'm with Baker Donaldson. I actually came before this board in 2017 when this deal was initially issued. Basically what we're doing is we're modifying the documents, and the reason for the modification is the deal was initially done in 2017 as a Freddie Mac backed transaction. So it was closed with a construction lender that was Sterling Bank, and the idea was that after construction was complete in conversion, and they met the conditions to conversion, the loan would be converted to a bellwether Freddie Mac insured product. There were, I don't know if you're familiar with the project at all, but there were significant construction delays that essentially had to do with the developer at the time. So because of that, I think maybe 2 years worth of construction delays. And because of that, the investor, which is KHEC in this deal, removed the general partner, removed the property manager, and they were able to kind of right the ship and get the deal completed. And now it's finished, and it's, I think, almost substantially occupied. I think it's almost at full occupancy at this point. So because of all of the delays, they've had trouble converting to their permanent financing, just because the deal that they had with Freddie Mac and with Bellwether 3 years ago when this deal was supposed to convert they've had to revisit that. So instead of converting with the permanent lender that they have now, they want to convert, basically refinance with Cedar Rapids Bank and Trust. And so because of that, we had to do some modifications to the document. The most significant modifications are to the interest rate. It's going from, I believe, 4.88 to a floating rate based on the secured overnight financing rate plus 1.7. I think I heard on our last call that's going to be maybe around 5.25 right now. Obviously, it's up just like everything else is. And they're extending the maturity date from 2034 to 2037. They're also paying down the bonds. I think I have $6 million in there, and maybe there's a not to exceed amount of 4.6. That was always contemplated for this project. The initial bonds were issued in the amount of $6 million, and because of tax purposes for the 50% test roll, they had to issue $6 million, but they really only needed 4.6. At that point in permanent debt, that amount's probably going to come down even more. It's looking like the amount will be paid down to 4.2. So when the deal closes, that will likely be the principal amount. That could change because they haven't locked the rate in just yet. So that 4.2 million could kind of go up or down. It won't go over 4.6, which is what is in the resolution. But it more than likely will go down. It's just we can't really predict until the rate's locked, what that amount will be. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, but that's why we're here before you today.
So we're making the permanent loan on this? I mean, these bonds are for the permanent loan to take out construction, or?
Yeah, well, right. The bonds were issued and purchased by Sterling Bank.
Right.
So Sterling Bank currently holds the bonds.
Disperse the fund. They've been dispersing.
And they've been dispersing the funds. Those funds have been fully dispersed for construction. Construction is complete. So now they need their permanent lender to step in, because I believe they've been able to get extensions of their construction loan. I think their most recent extension expires maybe on the 30th of this month. I think there are some allowances for that to go further if needed. They've been very generous, with working with this developer to get the loan converted. So the idea is Cedar Rapids will come in and purchase the bonds from Sterling Bank, and then at the same time there'll be a principal reduction payment at that conversion. And we're having to treat this as a reissuance because of the interest rate change and the extension of the maturity date. So even though these aren't new bonds, we're treating them as reissued for tax purposes.
Which is why we need to have a new public hearing.
Right.
Okay, and so how much are we're issuing?
Well, we're modifying the 2017 bond is what's happening, and that was issued in the amount of $6 million. So the bond is already out there, it's already issued, and this is a request for a modification in connection with converting to the permanent loan.
So it would be a total of,
Well, we're modifying the 2017 bond, so the 2017 bond that's out there today is $6 million. So that's what we're modifying,
Okay.
is the existing bond.
That's right. And there'll be a replacement bond once the deal closes.
increasing it?
No,
It'll be decreased.
it'll be decreased.
It'll be decreased.
All right, then at this time, I'll ask to open a public hearing and ask if there's anyone who wishes to speak for or against this project. And I'm not seeing anyone desiring to speak, so we'll close the public hearing. Further questions from members of the board?
What are you eyeing as a completion date for the project?
The project's completed,
Oh,
and
it's
it's
complete,
if it's not fully occupied, it's almost fully occupied.
Okay.
So it's just a matter of converting them.
It's just a matter of getting the construction loan converted to the permanent loan.
Okay, we have a resolution before us. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution? Move for adoption. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of the resolution indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Resolution is adopted.
Thank you. So we finished our two main projects. We have old business, we have an old business. Okay. So we have some new business, or any new business other than discussion?
No, just, we have a couple representatives here for an information item, but that's it for today.
So we're welcome to hear from someone from the Metro government, planning department.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Angie Hubbard. I'm the new Director of Housing with Metro Planning. Our division kicked off on January 3rd. We're a direct recommendation from the Mayor's Affordable Housing Task Force that was going on about this time last year. I have Hannah Davis. That's part of our team. She came from planning to the mayor's office, from mayor's office to planning. I'm not sending you back. To be part of our team. And as you know, we have a tremendous challenge with affordability in Nashville. So we've hit the ground running with the creation of a new tool. Hannah actually started working on this with Council Lady Berkeley Allen before I started, and then we made some modifications to the original idea. But it is a new payment in lieu of tax program that encourages mixed income development. It's intended for development that would likely be market rate and not have any affordability in places where we need it, along corridors, near amenities, near bus stops. And so we have created a tiered structure to get some deeper affordability with a higher abatement. And there's legislation, and Hannah can pass around what this program is. But in state law, there are really only certain types of entities that can do payment in lieu of tax programs. MDHA currently does it for low-income housing tax credits. I was at MDHA when that program was started and helped write some of that legislation at council and get that program started. Of course, there's the Industrial Development Board, but because this is not an economic development related type of project, this isn't really for the Industrial Development Board to do. So this is for the Health and Ed Board for the pilots to flow through. A little bit about my background. I spent the past 3 years before coming to Metro with the Greater Nashville Regional Council, actually on contract with an IDB and Health and Ed Board in an adjacent jurisdiction to assist with pilots and other things, and ad hoc technical assistance with other IDBs and Health and Ed Boards in the region. So we understand this is brand new. There's a lot of moving parts to it. We're offering, as our department, to assist with the implementation. We will also we'll be collecting fees that are associated with the pilot application so that we can procure a third party to make sure that the incomes are meeting the qualifications to get the pilot, all of the legwork that needs to be done. This body would hear the applications after we've vetted them and do the approvals and all of the things that are required of the Health and Ed Board. The legislation moving through council right now that just passed second reading does expressly give the Health and Ed Board the authority to do this pilot program. So that's kind of a high-level overview. We're here to answer any specific questions you have about the program, how it would be administered, what we're hoping to achieve from it, anything else that you all want to discuss.
How is the abatement cap determined, or how is that figure calculated?
The abatement cap of $3 million, I'll let you talk about the history of that. I know MDHA's low-income housing tax credit is at 2.5, so this is $500,000 above their abatement, but you can probably discuss those past conversations.
Yes, so this was actually is accounted for in our current fiscal year budget. So once it's approved at council, we can begin entering into contracts before the end of the fiscal year as your schedules allow. But the $3 million number, we basically, I did the calculations. We wanted to make sure it was something where we could have enough cap to attract multiple deals in the first round without overpromising something on a new tool. So, in kind of that startup mode, enough to be able to really test the product without getting the city obligated to something and maybe, learning a lesson that substantially changes the program. So it felt like a good amount. From our calculations, obviously very location dependent. We could get around 300 units. Flex is probably more between 200 and 500, again, depending on location and which level of abatement developers opt into.
Sure. And do you see any projection on growth or expansion of that cap over the next 3 to 5 years, given what they're projecting with city growth and population growth?
I do. In our initial conversations for this specific program, what I was told from the mayor's office was, if you could max out that cap and show that there's demand, then come back and make the case to increase the cap.
Okay.
And that would have to be approved by Metro Council by resolution.
Yes, certainly. And I think, there was, if you watched council on Monday and Tuesday night, if you didn't have anything better to do, you saw there was some discussion about pilots and the city kind of obligating future revenues. So, obviously we take that responsibility really seriously in the stewardship of taxpayer dollars. The reason I think it's really a crucial financial structure for housing is, our mission of the division is housing security for all Nashvillians, and a really important part of housing security is having income set units that someone can kind of plan the building of their life around, the building of their family and their community around. So when we're looking at year-over-year operating funds to fund a unit, that isn't getting us to the place we want with this type of program for someone to be able to have that sense of security and sense of home.
Is this something that is intended to work in conjunction with the Barnes Fund?
No, so you'll see that it explicitly says can't be combined with other pilot programs, tax credits, or local subsidies.
Okay.
So, and that's because, as we develop new tools, we want to target them to different kind of target markets. So this is, targeted at folks who aren't applying for other subsidies, who really are, developing typically basically market rate units, but want to contribute in assisting the city meeting our affordable housing targets.
So we need it, that's for sure.
This was totally voluntary. Are you going to, I mean, is the incentive, people going to know about this? Are they going to want to,
Yes.
do you think the incentive enough is for people who want to?
I don't think any government program is enough on its own, in my opinion. I think it requires the relationship development and really helping someone feel like they're a part of the work the city's doing to address our affordability. I spent, as Angie mentioned, I've been working on this for a year, and as I came down to kind of the final calculations, it was that balance of making sure we're not giving away too much as a city, that the value the developer is getting is really tied to the value the city is getting and our residents are getting, but we didn't want to make it so sweet that we end up giving away too much, but that weren't so conservative that people didn't want to participate. So my last question in all of my, dozen interviews was, okay, would you sign up tomorrow? And once I had, 6 yeses, it was, okay, we could probably get about 5 or 6 deals with this cap. For folks who are looking to max out their return on investment, this is probably not going to be an appropriate product. When I did the financial projections, the subsidy doesn't cover up to what, a luxury market rate apartment is going to provide. And that's okay. It's not a product for everybody. But for folks who are developing market rate, maybe right outside of our downtown core, when I look at, Hillsborough, Wedgwood, Houston, Inglewood, really still close to transit centers, close to jobs and amenities, but not a product we can get really through Barnes and struggle to get with some of our other subsidies.
And we'll start with a kickoff informational session so that we can walk developers through the process, the application, just let them know that this is out there.
And what is the role that you're seeing from the Health and Facilities Board? I might have missed that, but what is the role that
You would have to approve the pilot agreements, and the chair would have to sign on the pilot agreements.
Okay. After you have gone through the process of it.
We will have a third-party partner that will do the projections on the future value of the taxes so we can determine the appropriate level of abatement. And we will make sure that that's in line with what the tier is that they're signing up to do, and that we're actually going to be able to collect those taxes and do make sure that it's a feasible project and we're hitting the program requirements, because they're going to have to. Equity is a big thing, and we want to make sure that they provide us a affirmative marketing plan on how they're going to make sure that they're doing outreach to people that would not otherwise know about these projects, make sure that they understand fair housing laws. We're going to be creating a resident portal where publicly funded housing is listed, and people can go to one spot and see where it is, so they will have to list their units on that portal. So there's a number of ways, but we're going to make sure that all of those boxes are checked before, or they're agreeing to that before they come to the Health and Ed Board and ask for that pilot.
You all are part of the planning department, is that correct?
Yes.
So if someone brings in a proposal for development, is that when you would get involved, or you see people talking to you before they present their?
They would come to us with the application. We would review the application, work with them to make sure that we're getting we're going through the market analysis. So when it comes before you, they're presenting that application to you that's been vetted through us, and that we believe that that's a viable deal.
And would your staff be making recommendations to this board? Back to her question, how do you see just the process start to finish, I guess, in terms of where the board would come in? I assume you would come back?
We would provide a staff analysis.
Okay.
With a recommendation.
With a recommendation, yes.
I mean, you wouldn't be sending it up saying, we think this is a good.
Yes, we would provide an analysis that includes our position on the pilot.
I guess, Cindy, when we were voting to issue bonds, we would
This will not have bonds associated with it. This is a standalone program.
Their financing would be otherwise than through
Yes,
us?
their financing will not be through us.
Oh, okay.
So we'll be adding another line item on our agenda for projects. I think that's what. Yes, we'll have another category of projects.
Yeah, okay.
One thing I don't know if we touched on, it won't bring anything off the tax rolls. Obviously, that was important. But to Angie's point about our third-party assessment, obviously understanding, okay, what are they paying now? What would they pay? And then they need that set payment locked in for their financing. So all of that will be part of what we present to you, so you can see those numbers as well.
So just in last question, and this may or may not be something that you have the answer for, but it states here that the 44,000 units is the projected demand. Current efforts are going to net maybe 13,000 units over that same time period, so less than a third. Where do you see this making up the gap? Do you see this bringing in another third, another 1/6 this program if it's successful?
As Hannah mentioned, we see it around 300 units a year being created.
Okay.
We think of this as we've got to have multiple tools in the toolkit. This is a tool we don't have, and we would not get affordability, we believe, but for this program. We're looking at a number of other tools that are not necessarily abatement related, but we've got to bring them all together.
Gotcha. What would be an example of another tool? Not to put you on the spot. If you had
Wait
your
till
way.
next week. We actually, if you want to talk about that, last year Metro substantially funded a new program that we're also going to be launching. Of course, it's outside this board, but Hannah can talk about the Catalyst Fund.
Yes, so we, council approved $20 million for a preservation, we're calling it preservation fund because that's kind of the standard around the country that it slots into, but it could be creation as well. So it'll be a fund that is managed by a third party, so that RFP is now in procurement's hands to go find that fund manager.
Okay.
But what that does is by having a third party, they can have predetermined kind of terms and timing to be able to compete with market rate developers. So obviously that's something that we hear from folks is, Barnes is on a schedule, tax credits are on a schedule, and it can be hard to move quickly to acquire land. And so this fund will not only allow developers to be able to move quickly through this, the government funds will kind of be that first loss, top loss capital, and then we'll be recruiting additional. Our goal is to get up to $50 million, but then it will also create a sustainable revenue fund. So obviously that's a much bigger number than $3 million, but I think to Angie's point, we see how much the market is producing out there, and so I kind of think of this as a way to hitch ourselves onto that wagon and also create mixed income housing. So you'll see that at least 60% of the units in each development are not able to be income restricted, and we also think this will get us units for residents with more geographic diversity.
Okay.
And if they don't meet their, that's what they're supposed to do, then they would lose the tax credit, the property, the pilot, is that right?
There would be compliance mechanisms built into the contract with the developer.
Okay.
And so what, would we be signing in the contract with them?
Well, that was my next question. So how will ongoing compliance be monitored? Because obviously we
Yeah. Is that about
have volunteers and no staff.
Yes,
So
we will procure a third party that will do that compliance, that reporting. We can report back to you every quarter, monthly, whatever. And I know there are obligations for state reporting that we will prepare on the board's behalf and then make sure you all review before any submittals. And then we will have an annual report to council on the performance of the program.
Okay.
And the fees for that cover that are included on the developer tiers, so they'll be paying for that monitoring. Obviously, that's a really important part of any new tool is to make sure, we minimize risk so that there's compliance and strong stewardship of these public funds. So we take that very seriously so that there's not abuse of the program.
So this legislation ordinance is scheduled for a third reading.
May 5th.
We have a date in 2 weeks or
Oh, yes, the council meeting on May 5th.
the 5th?
One last question, and I could talk about this all day. but-
Great.
Well, I have my own opinions, but anyway, this is generally positive to me. So here it talks about, in terms of the requirements, right? Increased property assessment value, resulting in increased property assessment value and that significant capital improvement. How do we quantify that?
That's where the third-party market
Okay.
assessment group will come in, and based on, it's a little bit different based on whether they're doing a rehab of the building, obviously versus new construction, but we wanted to include rehab since we know that that's a place where we, often see residents being displaced. So if they're making significant improvements, obviously above what's already on the tax rolls, so again, back to that point, we're not taking anything off the tax rolls, but the third-party assessor will do those calculations so that we can make sure that they're kind of objective.
Okay.
We don't need to take any action on this. We're
Not today. This was just to begin the conversation and ask questions.
So moved.
So after third reading, I guess you're finalizing, I guess, the criteria, et cetera, and will they have to make an application? Is it-
Yes. They'll make an application to our department.
And if you're highly successful and you're oversubscribed, then will you have some scoring criteria or some, how will you pick and choose among the applicants if they're over your, it'd be a good problem to have.
This would be a first come, first serve.
Okay,
Gotcha. Okay. Until the cap is met.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
And then that would be a
speaks to
really good,
the marketing and the equity
Yeah.
approach to make sure that
Yes.
Yeah.
but that would be a really good case to go back to council before the next budget season.
Yeah.
And what is the cap, or is there a certain?
3 million.
3 million cap annually.
All right, thank you all very much for.
Thank you.
Thank you. We always welcome feedback, and if you have people that you'd like us to share the legislation with who may be interested, or we'll come speak to any groups, we want to make sure that people know that this tool exists.
Absolutely.
I'm sure the word will get out among developers.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I guess we don't have anything else before us, so
That is it.
in that case, we'll stand in adjournment. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
So the whole time I'm sitting here, I'm like, I feel like I know her, but the
I
mask.
know, and seeing each other out.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.